Well, firstly, welcome along and welcome to the inner sanctum of the club. We normally do these things in a special area, but we thought, given how important the debt reduction is to everyone attached to North Melbourne, we'd bring you into the working area of the footy club. We also understand that this is not always footy time, so we appreciate you all coming and joining us. Really what we're doing today is officially launching the debt reduction Invest in Success, which is all about us as a club positively eradicating $5 million worth of debt and getting ourselves into a position where we can go forward and achieve all the things we're trying to achieve without having to scramble to pay interest on a $5 million debt that we don't really want to have hanging over our heads anymore. So what we're doing today is just really sort of enunciating why it's as important as it is, beside of the simple economic fact that $450,000 worth of interest repayments every year is money we'd actually rather spend in Brad's department investing in our next premiership rather than paying a bank back money's owed. But more than that, we're heading into Hobart this year. We're trying to make regional Victoria, along with the AFL, a real success for the North Melbourne Football Club and invest in that part of Victoria and make sure that regional Victorians get access to AFL footy. All of the stuff we're trying to do, as I say, get a fifth premiership out of Brad and his group, is much more doable when we get debt from $5 million down to zero. So we're launching the box on, the Invest in Success, and the really exciting part about this and the unique part about it, if you like, from a North Melbourne Footy Club fan and member point of view, is that they get the option through the bronze, silver, gold and royal blue pledges to quarantine grand final tickets over the next 5 years. Now, you guys all know enough about AFL footy to know that when a team gets into a grand final, it occurs to the members and supporters at the last minute that you're in there because you've obviously won the prelim the week before, and then everyone scrambles to get a grand final ticket. And as we saw this year with Geelong and Collingwood, hundreds of thousands of people couldn't get their hands on them. So what we're giving North Melbourne people a chance to do over the next 5 years is help us with the debt and a premiership pledge at a level from $300 up to $10,000. And as part of that, the main thing they get is a guaranteed grand final ticket times 2. If we get to a grand final, which is a unique part of a debt reduction strategy that's really going to help us get $5 million down to zero, but it's also going to help North Melbourne people, if, and we like to think when, we get to the big dance, make sure that they've got a seat at the MCG to watch us win our fifth premiership. So that's unique. I think it's a great opportunity, and we'll be rolling that out straight away. Included in that is, things like having your name on a jumper for the game against Fremantle at the end of this year, where we'll wear that unique jumper with all the people who have pledged his name on there, and give them the recognition they deserve as great supporters and members who have come and helped us with this problem, because we need to get rid of it. The other thing I need to talk about before you can obviously fire as many questions as you like at Brad and myself is a lot of people have said to me, why is it taking you this long to attack your debt? Melbourne have done it really successfully, so have the Western Bulldogs embarked, so have Richmond embarked, and why have North Melbourne waited to now to get stuck into it? And the simple answer to that is that we could have been debt free right now. As a board and a senior management team, if we'd chosen to go down that path, we would be without debt as we speak. But the issue then is we wouldn't have this facility, which we invested $1.5 million in, and we wouldn't have certainly Brad or half the players in a football department that makes us proud every weekend, because we'd still be paying 89% of the salary cap as we were 3.5, 4 years ago, and that was unsustainable. So we decided as a board and a senior management team that we needed to invest in footy, we needed to invest in facility. We've done both of those things, and therefore we now think it's appropriate to tackle the debt issue rather than 3 or 4 years ago when we thought there was money that needed to be spent elsewhere much more effectively, and it has been. So we often get asked, why now? Hopefully there's your answer. But before I take your questions, and Brad will too, the real key message with this is there's some unbelievably positive stuff happening at the North Melbourne Football Club and going to continue to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. None of that is going to be as good as it should be if we continue to carry $5 million of debt and have to fund it to the tune of $450,000 a year in interest repayments. As I said in the press a while back, 450 grand gets you a pretty good player, or helps you with free agency, acquire a really good player, or maybe keep the really good player that you don't want anyone else to have. It's money that Brad should have and Donald McDonald should have and the footy department should have, not a bank. So we ask all North Melbourne people, when it comes to renewing their membership, to help us when it comes to making a pledge with the box on initiative, invest in success, get stuck into it. You'll get a grand final ticket when we get there, but you'll also help this great club achieve all the amazing things that we're en route to achieving in the next 2 or 3 years. So hopefully that explains the official part of the launch, but I know you'll all have questions of me and most certainly of Brad so far away.
James, how much ground have you actually made up since starting the debt demolition?
We started about a month and a half, 2 months ago. It was a soft opening because we had to roll out the membership for 2012, and it's amazing the reception we've got. We've got about 10,500 what we call true roos, which are basically people who give you your credit card and say, I'm here forever, you just charge me my membership every year and send me my card, and you don't need to ask me every year to rejoin, I'm with you. So what we did with them is we said, okay, we'll ask you to give us $25 as well towards the debt. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You just have to let us know, and we won't take $25 extra. But if you're happy for us to do it, away you go. The response to that's been unbelievable. 98% of those people have committed, and that's around about $200,000 already. So the response has been amazing. The new members that join us, we find the uptake with them is great, and the really cool bit is, I get obviously a lot of North Melbourne people come up to me in the street, as I'm sure Scotty and everyone does. The overwhelming response I've had is, only $25. I can do that easily. What else do you need me to do? So I think the response has been really positive. 200,000, as I say, or pretty close to 200,000 is a great result so far. Huge was telling me yesterday that he's already had 4 people come up to him with cheques of $1,000 saying, I want to help, there you go. And you just say, well, we haven't actually got it ready yet. We know it's going to be launched tomorrow. And so, that's how positive North Melbourne people are, because they understand that it's investing in the success of this club and the success in Brad's team. It's not about anything else. So, it's been really good.
So with these benefits now in mind, you expect far greater proportion of
Yeah, absolutely. Because, as a North Melbourne fan, and I've been a North Melbourne fan for 44 years, growing up in Perth and watching us in the 70s winning flags and playing in 5 straight grand finals, and the Ross Glendennings and the Barry Cables and all the superstars from the West playing for North. It was my club all the way through. And, what we're giving North Melbourne people is A, the chance to help Brad and his team succeed, and B, the chance to guarantee that when we're in a grand final, you're there, sitting there. The 2 best days of my life, I never say this with my wife around because I've got 4 kids and I've been married, the 2 best days of all my old teammates, but anything I did in sport and anything I've done anywhere else, by far the 2 of the top 3 or 4 days of my life were 96 and 99 when I was sitting in the MCG watching us, win a grand final. And all North Melbourne people experience that, it's just extraordinary. So, we're giving people a chance to get that experience and help us along the way. So I think we'll get a really positive response.
James, can we read into this that is it a 5-year premiership window, or is there, I know it's a cliche term that gets thrown around a lot, or is there an expectation that these guys will get access?
Oh, I don't think, I've never bought into the whole window bit. I think you're building a football department and a football club that has sustainable success long term. I mean, if you look at the great clubs on field now, if you look at Collingwood, if you look at Hawthorn, if you look at Geelong, they have had long-term sustained success. They get into the top 4 and they give themselves a chance to play in a grand final and win it. So does a premiership window apply to them? I don't think so. I think they've just set themselves up so that they've got that, and that's Brad and I have sat down 2 years ago and said that's what this club's about. We need to get ourselves to a position where we can achieve sustained success on field. And in my view, sustained success is playing in finals and winning them, and getting to grand finals and winning them. So I don't buy into the window bit, to be honest. I think the key for us as an administration is to make sure that Brad's got every tool he needs to get into and win finals and get into and win grand finals. So this is about our people being able to join us in helping to do that.
Brad, what's it like as coach, knowing that your fans are prepared to fork out more of their hard-earned, so you and the boys don't go with it?
Oh, it's typical of North Melbourne people. I mean, this football club's unique in a lot of ways, and that's why people who have come from outside the organisation, like I did a few years ago, and have come into the organisation, realise why it's such a great club. Because no one person is better than anyone else. North Melbourne people have unbelievable access to this football club, and we think our players represent the values we try and instill into them. So I think that it's no surprise that when we call upon the supporters, which are the most loyal in the competition, they respond the way they do. So now what we're really asking them to do is to be part of the journey with us. This premiership pledge is really something to give us an opportunity to compete at our best and get to where we all want to go. So it's really about getting everyone involved and getting our members feeling part of it. But the simple reality is that we've got a lot of exciting initiatives that are going to be rolled out over the next few years. But when you have this debilitating debt, we can't do all the things we want to do. So, the club's been unbelievable in providing this fantastic facilities for us to train in, an outstanding football department and a great group of players. But we can't continue the ball rolling unless we reduce this debt. So we all know it's critical.
I know you shouldn't have to, but do you or any of the guys buy any of these packages and put back yourself?
Look, I've been involved in a number of football clubs, and all our players are members of the football club because we have that attitude that we're all in it together. All the football department are members, all the administration are members. We really are in all this together. So anything that the club invests in or rolls out, there's full buy-in from the football department. So I'm certainly part of this, and I'm sure that all our staff will be as well.
We have an example of that. We have a Shinboner club, which is the elite coterie group, if you like, meet once a year, and really meet for the purpose of exactly what we're here to discuss. Eradicating debt, giving Brad all the information, all the backing he needs to achieve what we're all here to do, which is a 5th premiership. That's last 2 years has been a $5,000 plate, so it's a 75 member group. And I think it's an amazing indication of what a great club this is, that Brad and Brent Harvey and Drew Petrie are members of that club. So they elect to spend $5,000 of their own dollars to join that group on the journey. I can't think of too many other clubs or places I've ever known where, footballers and coaches go, you know what, this is that important to us that I'm going to be a part of it as well. So I think it's, we had a recent gathering of that group, and we brought the '96 premiership team back. It was a terrific night, and Anthony Stevens just stood up and spoke that night and said to me afterwards, he said, what an unbelievable thing it is that your leadership group and your coach have joined in. They're not there for nothing. They are a paid member of that group. So as Scotty said, this is a unique club, and it's got great people.
Scott, can you talk a bit about how, James mentioned the 450,000 that can buy you a decent, very decent AFL player and the free agency coming up. Can you talk about how much how the debt and that interest handicaps the footy department and what you're trying to do?
Well, look, personally, I wouldn't put it that way. I don't think it handicaps the football department. What it does is it forces the administration to work for 6 months of the year to pay off the interest on their debt before they can start making money. So, without the debt, we're looking to invest in things that are going to make us a better side in the future. I'm so excited to go down to Hobart, on two occasions next year to play GWS and West Coast. They're going to be huge games for us in a market that we need to grow. But it's not just a matter of rolling up in Hobart and expecting people to turn up and support North Melbourne. We need to spend a lot of money down there investing in that area. We need to spend an enormous amount of money in Ballarat and the surrounding regions to grow our market share. It's not just a matter of having a community camp up in Ballarat at the start of February. We need to invest in that area, and we need money to do that. So we can't do that with a $5 million debt. We simply can't. So we have to reduce that. If we, instead of working for half the year to pay off the interest, we can work for that first half of the year to grow those new markets, which we need to do. And all North Melbourne fans are aware of that.
James, what's the dollar amount that you're trying to raise from this initiative? Is it the full $5 million?
Yeah, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be a journey, and as Brad said, we're going to continue to roll out different ways that North Melbourne people can be a part of that. From the high-end group we just discussed down to, when you join the club, you've got $25 that you can help us with straight away. So it's $5 million that we've got to get rid of. And as a board, when we came on board 4 years ago, we very publicly said that we needed to achieve some things. We needed to hand the club back to the members through an EGM. You know, we needed to properly invest in football. I mean, Dean was our coach then, and you know, we had some people like Darren Crocker, who's up the back here, you know, who were a part of what we were about then. And from where we were then and where we are now is just quantum, you know, in the difference in the funding and the, you know, in the football department spend. So that needed to be done. You know, we needed to build this facility. You know, so we needed to stay here in Melbourne and have our base at Aegis Park. So this is really the fifth plank. You know, those things we very publicly said we needed to do. Now we need to eradicate the debt. We need to get it back to zero. We need to start moving into that, you know, that positive equity area, so that, as Brad says, all the things that we need to do to continue to grow and get bigger and better and stronger and faster haven't got, you know, debt in the way. So, you know, it's going to impact everything we do in this business. And once we get rid of it, whether it's membership, whether it's, you know, corporate partnerships, whether it's attending, merchandise, footy, anything we do will be easier to do without $5 million of debt. It's unhealthy, and you know, it's time we fixed it.
Is the club in a position for long-term financial sustainability at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. But it depends. You know, I mean, North Melbourne's a boutique-sized club. You know, and we'd be kidding ourselves if we try to position ourselves in any other way. You know, we're 30,000 members. We're between 200 and 300,000 fans. You know, we are what we are. So you've got to cut your cloth to suit that, if you like. So do we operate our business the same way, you know, Eddie operates Collingwood? No, and we'd be mad to try and do that. But what we need to do, as Brad just said before, is we need to grow. We need to keep getting bigger. We need to get the 250,000 people in southern Tasmania to be rusted on North Melbourne fans. We need to get to the Warrnambool, Bendigo, Ballarat regional triangle, the fastest growing regional area in Australia, and you know, really spend a lot of time and effort, hopefully getting those people to invest in coming to North Melbourne games, you know, in that area, and I know that's important for the AFL as well. So everything that this club's about now is about growing and getting better and bigger, and you know, and giving, as I say, it all funnels back to the same thing, and that's giving Brad and his team every opportunity to achieve what we're here to achieve, which is a fifth premiership.
Brad, how important is it to make Hobart a real fortress and get the right results there? We saw Richmond sell some games that possibly cost them a place in the finals. I think people want to emphasise, but how important is that to get the result down there?
Well, it's critically important, but no more important than any other game for the rest of the year, to be honest. I mean, we're not selling games down to Hobart. You know, we're going down to invest in an area and invest in a community. We're not going down there simply to take some money and run. You know, and that's why we need to reduce this debt, because we're going down there to invest in an area. We're going to go down and train down there. We're going to engage with the community. So we're not just selling games. You know, we're going down there to grow an area that's going to be a supporter base for us. So, you know, the results are important, but the most important thing for this football club is that we show the people of Hobart that we're committed to the area, and you know, we'll go down there and play appropriate North Melbourne football. But the same goes for the Ballarat region. We go up there for our community camp. We play a NAB Cup game up there. You know, we've got to commit to these areas, but it's not just a matter of playing games there. So we're not taking money from these areas just to play. You know, we're actually investing money in these areas to grow market share.
You've got AGM next week?
Yep.
Is that right? You're batting on again? There's no changes expected at that?
Oh, well, I mean, elections are what they are. You know, we, as a board, very strongly endorse the two incumbent board members who are up for re-election. Will Horton is a Queen's Counsel, a 4-year director of the club, unbelievable elite legal mind who's helped us enormously, you know, over his 4 years as a director. You know, has represented the AFL before as a QC, so you know, it's obvious the benefits he brings to the board. And Julie Laycock's a lady who I personally recruited to the board halfway through this year, because, you know, you're probably already getting the tenor of why this is important, but we need people who can sell. You know, we need to market this club. We need to get aggressively selling the story of North Melbourne to people in all the places we've discussed. And Julie's the head of marketing for 7-Eleven, one of Australia's most progressive companies. So the skill set she brings, the skill set that Will's already brought, are vital to our board. So, you know, we had an issue this time last year with a board election, and you sort of tread carefully around it, but really, you know, we need to very strongly get our people to understand that the reason these people are important to us as in the governance model is because they bring a skill set that we really badly need. So you ask me what I want to have happen, I want those two people to remain on our board because they are elite people who are very important to us.
you mentioned selling before. Brad seems happy to do it, but should he have to? Very here today, selling more, from this day on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think your coach is the most visible touch point at a footy club. I think it's much healthier for the coach to sell the club than the chairman, for instance, or the CEO, or anyone else. I mean, if you look at Kevin Sheedy and the impact he had on Essendon over 25 years, I think he's arguably the greatest salesman our game's ever seen, certainly in the modern era. And he took them from being a small suburban club to a national and international brand. Now Scotty's a different cat to Sheets. I'd be a bit concerned if halfway through some of his press conferences he wandered into the areas that Kev used to get into. But, Kevin's a legend of AFL footy because, he sold the message of that club. And one of the reasons we love Brad so much and had no hesitation in extending his contract last year is because he sells our message beautifully. As I said when we hired him, he looks people in the eye, he tells the truth. He's a North Melbourne person. North Melbourne people gravitate to Brad because they know there's no BS, So, yeah, we have a great expectation that he will sell this club and its message everywhere he goes, and I think he does a great job with it, and he is the appropriate person to do that, I think.
Brad, what's the message to fans from this pre-season? How's it been?
I think it's been terrific. We've embarked on another overseas camp to Utah, which was critical, and I think it's really important for our members and the greater footy community to understand what this football club's about, because we see that as a critical part of our pre-season training, but it doesn't come cheaply. And when we're here talking about the Premiership pledge and reducing debt, it seems like a conflict that we're going on an overseas camp and spending a lot of money doing so. But it's important for everyone to know that every football department member and player contributed to the majority of the cost of that camp. Executives came with us on that camp, so that essentially it cost the football club nothing. That's something that we invested in ourselves. So, but we feel it's important to success. So while we're asking for our members to join with us and help us reduce debt, they should also have the comfort of knowing that we'll leave no stone unturned in trying to improve our performance as well. But we'll find innovative ways to do it. So, I think that camp was critical. We've gone back for the second time, but largely, I'll leave the predictions and everyone talking about how well they're going to go and where teams are going to finish to the media experts and the other clubs, and we'll just go about our business and work as hard as we possibly can, and you can ask me again in September how we're going.
One big thing, I guess, between this time last year was your injuries. You had a shocking run up to the season that hurt you in the end.
Yeah.
By comparison, can you just talk a bit about that this time around?
Yeah, probably the corresponding session this time last year, we had about 27 guys on the track, and other than Cameron Richardson, who's still recovering from hip surgery, although he's not far away, we're 100% availability. So, the medical staff have done an outstanding job in getting the players ready, but we haven't compromised our training ethic and the amount of volume that we put into the players to simply get them healthy. We think that we've worked them really hard, they're healthy, so no matter how good your coach is, no matter how good your football department is, unless you've got a fit and healthy list, it's going to be tough. And to this point, touch wood, we've got that.
Nice change.
Yeah, it is. But we're also in December, so we've got a fair bit of work to do. But I think this pre-season for us, it's largely about just making sure we do the work. The where we're going to finish and how we're going to go is somewhat out of our control, because we can't control what 17 other clubs are doing. But we've talked a lot over the last couple of years about how we're going to go. I think the time's right for us to just let our actions do the talking and train hard, and we'll leave the predictions to everyone else.
Brad, your on-field leadership, has that been decided for next season? Is Boomer staying in that role?
No, the leadership hasn't been decided, but look, Boomer does an outstanding job, and he'll be a leader of this club next year in whatever form. We're not sure yet, but we've got a process that we're working through, and as Boomer has said publicly a number of times, the fortunate position that we're in is that we've got a number of guys who have really elevated themselves in the leadership type roles. So we'll work through that process, and I anticipate we'll make an announcement sometime in January.
Anyone really sticking their hand up as having trained particularly impressively so far?
No, they're all training really well, but I don't think I should single anyone out because, you know, as a group, you know, we've got, once the rookie draft's finished, we'll have 46 on our list, and other than Richo, who's probably only a couple of weeks away from joining in full training, you know, everyone's out there. So as a group, we're quietly confident with how they're going. But, you know, your training performance in December means nothing. You know, as I said, about halfway through next year, we'll have another discussion about how we're going.
Just on Gavin Urquhart, I think that the plan was to rookie him. If he ends up at Port through the pre-season draft, will you be disappointed to lose him?
Yeah, well, we've committed to re-rookieing him, but the process that you go through when you go through a draft is that other clubs have the opportunity to potentially pick him first. So, look, you know, Gav's got to explore all his options for his career, and but, you know, if we get the opportunity to pick him, we will. We've committed to doing that, but, you know, he's just got to do what's best for his football career. So if that means another club, so be it. But if no one else picks him up, we certainly will.
We had a pick in the pre-season draft?
No. We'll have our rookie picks, and our senior list is finalised for 212.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming. Cheers.